Universal interconnectedness is a profound concept that resonates deeply with string theory and chaos theory principles, highlighting the intricate relationships that bind us together. In string theory, the idea of universal interconnectedness finds expression through the fundamental building blocks of the universe, the tiny, vibrating strings. These strings are minuscule but resonate and vibrate at different frequencies, giving rise to the diverse particles and forces that govern the cosmos. This concept echoes the interconnectedness of all things, as even the most minor strings contribute to the grand tapestry of the universe. Fractals offer a visual representation of universal interconnectedness. These self-replicating patterns, when magnified, reveal intricate details that mirror the whole. They are a visual metaphor for the idea that the microcosm reflects the macrocosm, emphasizing the interconnected nature of the universe at all scales. Chaos theory delves into complex systems' unpredictability and underscores their interconnectedness. The butterfly effect illustrates how a slight change in one part of a system can have far-reaching consequences. This concept reminds us that our actions, no matter how seemingly insignificant, can ripple through the web of interconnectedness, affecting the whole. By recognizing universal interconnectedness, you can consider the broader impact on society and the environment. Life unfolds in rhythmic patterns, from the ebb and flow of the tides to the beating of our hearts. By recognizing and attuning ourselves to these rhythms, we tap into a natural source of energy and insight. Whether it's the daily rhythm of sunrise and sunset or the seasonal cycles, being in flow with these rhythms allows us to navigate life with greater ease and understanding.
You know, this idea of sound that's remaking itself from moment to moment. She told me that when she was pregnant with me, she put headphones around her belly and she would play me like Patting the Bell and all these like soul singers and stuff. And it worked, I guess, you know, whatever science says about it, I don't know. But here I am working with sound and listening to sound in this very intuitive, intense way. I have been composing for I don't know. I've always been working with sound since I was a kid. I am a highly sensitive person. My early memory of sound was like something I was always trying to get away from, to be honest. It was very loud and ambient spaces, like where sound was moving around a lot, like airports, would make me dizzy. It was like an attack. It was like accosting, you know, because my ears were always so sensitive. There is a specific sound that the buses make when they brake. It's a very high-pitched squealing sound. And that sound actually causes this sharp feeling up the center of my back every time. So it's an embodied thing that I have. I started to really have a hard time with that as I, got older. But I got to a place where I stopped seeing that as an affliction and starting to see it as a superpower. I had a moment of realizing the way I hear the world is unique. My relationship to sound is unique. It impacts me in a certain way that allows me to immerse in it in a different way. I'm always looking for sounds. Like I have a set of antenna. I'm just like, If I find one that I like, I'll record it. I listen to the strangest things. Like I listen to doors. Doors all make different sounds. Some of them are kind of interesting. They start low and go high, and others start high and go low. I found that there are sounds that come from random objects that I love. My favorite sound, like metal mixing bowls, if you've ever had one, hit it on the table or something, it goes doom, like that sort of thing. My name is Shari. I'm an interdisciplinary artist. Philosophically, my practice is very fluid. My embodiment is fluid. I'm always thinking about interconnectivity, less about medium-specific ways of making and more about how to tell the stories and how to paint the sort of pictures or perspectives that I want. And sometimes that varies. Sometimes it's just a performance, and sometimes it's just a sound piece, and sometimes it's some Frankensteinian combination of all the things that I've come to learn and love. I work with sounds. As of recently, I've been working with machine learning, AI, video. I also perform, and I'm thinking critically about performance as well in my arts practice. I like sound in that it can do so many different things. It can hold space, it can create a container, a collaborative, interconnected entity which can be made up of many things. I am a PhD student at DX Arts, and I'm studying digital arts and experimental media. And prior to that, I was at Mills College studying electronic music and recording media. I really struggled with calling myself a composer for a while, and I think that a part of that was a composer was a thing some people did, and those people never really looked like me. But it wasn't until I got to Mills and I started to, have dialogue with the faculty there that this idea of composing started to expand for me, that it can be a sort of way to experiment with traditional forms but also create new ones. And so that place really changed my perspective, and it started to create a different sort of realm of thought for me around my sound practice and my composition practice. I started calling myself a composer maybe just 6, 7 years ago. I've worked on ballets, I've done sound for short films. I oftentimes use recordings like birds and oceans and thunder to create a sound world that I'm hoping that people will feel immersed in. And I will start with something that feels very identifiable, and then use that as a guide that leads them through this space. And then once we're in this space together and we're feeling comfortable, then I try this gesture of opening up the sound world and doing more revealing of the things that weren't heard previously in my sort of style of composing with soundscapes. This project is another way of experimenting with that theory and that practice and that technique. Sound is this fluid thing that can support, it can also take the lead, right? I think it can be fluid in between those two dichotomies. So what we have been discussing is a combination of all of those things, right? Sound holding space, but sound also supporting, but sound also taking lead. Experimenting with this sort of growing, collective, connective space that sound absolutely would contribute to, and I think can do so in some unique ways. This project is another way of experimenting with sort of theory and that practice and that technique. I think it's an interesting experiment in time, thinking about what time generally does in a composition, right? Or a performance. It's like it has a start, it has an ending, right? And then we go on this linear path from the beginning to the end. But I think a generative work, really re-examines the notion of time and the function that it has in the composition of a piece, right? It's always making itself. It's always being created, from instance to instance, moment to moment, and folding in on itself and then remaking itself again, right? And so that's an interesting thing, that something can be made and remade in an instance, and that continuous process creates something larger. Looking at the larger picture of the whole piece as an arc, basically, and sculpting the sound across that arc. And like some parts are close and intimate, and other parts are big and expansive. But I think it still sort of relates to this idea of interconnectivity. But maybe it grows over time, and maybe that's how time sort of comes into play with regards to the shape of the piece itself. Like within it, there are these like sort of generative elements that are happening, but it is all sort of contributing to this like sort of growing energy that manifests itself. Fractals are an interesting thing to hold in mind and thinking about that on a large scale and a small scale. Fragments of sound that are unique and that contribute to a larger landscape or soundscape, but also they all have their own maybe unique quality that if you were to listen to them on their own, that would evoke a different gesture. Something like a heartbeat feels like a very close-up, intimate sound. It evokes this gesture, like something you would lean into to listen to. Whereas something much larger, like thunder, is something that you are situated within. Together, they create an expansive soundscape. In that way, there is a range in dynamics, this sort of telescoping effect where you're zooming in on things and then you're zooming out and taking in the whole space. Yeah, and shout out to Brian Eno, the godfather of generative music or sound, as they say. I was just thinking like Brian Eno just like popped into my brain. He made this album Elevator Music, which is interesting to think about music that just is existing around us that we don't pay attention to, but is very much so present. But also music that has the potential to transform, even in its unchanging textural way that it exists. It's still changing. You have to really pay attention to the overall connected scape to really notice those changes, maybe, but they're there and that they're happening, and that says something, I think, in itself about our connection to sound and space and soundscapes. This project is really cool. It's a way of thinking about, I think, form and interconnectivity in a generative way, and that's something that's inspiring and I think interesting to me. And as a person that works with technology, interfaces and DAWs and softwares allow the flexibility to be able to experiment with the idea of what sound can be in a compositional form, but also as a supporting character in a production as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how sound and my perspective can help support this thing to be realized.
Everything in the universe vibrates at its unique frequency. From subatomic particles to celestial bodies, each entity emits vibrations that resonate with others. When we align our thoughts, emotions, and actions with positive vibrations, we attract harmonious experiences and connections. This principle encourages us to cultivate positivity, kindness, and gratitude. The principle of correspondence suggests that the microcosm reflects the macrocosm. It invites us to explore the interconnectedness of all things. By recognizing the patterns and symbolism in our lives, we gain deeper insights into the larger universe. This principle encourages introspection and self-awareness, fostering a sense of unity with the cosmos. Being in flow with the universe is not a passive state, but an active alignment with the natural order of things. When we embrace these principles, we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of life's mysteries. We become attuned to the subtle nuances of existence, finding meaning and purpose in the most ordinary moments. Being in flow brings a sense of serenity and resilience. It allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace, knowing that each obstacle is a stepping stone on our journey. We become co-creators of our destiny, shaping a future that is in harmony with our true selves and the universe. The eternal flow of the universe is a profound concept that invites us to live in alignment with the principles of rhythm, vibration, polarity, correspondence, causality, gender, and the essential oneness of all matter in the multiverse. By doing so, we unlock the wisdom of the ages, fostering a life of greater insight, purpose, and harmony. It is in this flow that we discover our truest selves and the boundless possibilities that the universe has to offer. Music, in its essence, serves as the heartbeat of dance and the key to understanding universal rhythm and vibrations. It bridges the tangible and intangible, connecting us to the very fabric of existence. In the realm of dance, music is the catalyst, the driving force that propels movement. It sets the tempo, the mood, and the emotional landscape for the dance to unfold. Every beat, every note, is an invitation to express oneself physically, to become part of a larger narrative told through motion. In this way, music becomes the language through which the body articulates its emotions, tells stories, and communicates across cultures and time. Music provides a profound insight into universal rhythm and vibrations. It reminds us that everything in the cosmos resonates with a unique frequency. Whether it's the heartbeat of a star, the rhythm of the tides, or the pulse of life within us, everything vibrates in harmony with the universe. Music, with its harmonies, melodies, and rhythms, is a reflection of these universal vibrations. When we listen to music, we tap into a cosmic symphony. We connect with something primal and fundamental, reminding us that we are not isolated entities, but interconnected threads in the vast tapestry of existence. The vibrations of music resonate with our very being, stirring our emotions, influencing our thoughts, and connecting us to a shared human experience. Interconnectedness is like an invisible dance, where the threads that bind us are unseen but profoundly felt. In this dance, there's a universal grace that transcends the boundaries of language and culture, where all of existence moves to an intricate rhythm. Dance itself, in all its forms, is a celebration of this interconnectedness. It's a language that our bodies speak, a way to communicate beyond words. When we dance, we become part of something larger than ourselves. Each step, each sway, is like a note in the symphony of life, contributing to the grand composition of our existence. The dance floor becomes a microcosm of our world. People from different backgrounds and walks of life converge, moving to the same beat. It's a reminder that, despite our differences, we are all part of the same human family. As we dance, we bridge divides and dissolve boundaries. We express emotions and connect on a level that goes beyond the surface. Through dance, we experience the joy of being interconnected. It's a beautiful reminder that we are not isolated beings, but rather threads in the intricate tapestry of existence. Let us continue to dance with open hearts, embracing this interconnectedness, and celebrating the unity that underlies our diverse human experience.
I feel like as a craft, dance is intertwined with who I am as self. Because it's something I've always done, it's grown up with me. It's a way of processing life. It's a way of communicating what my mouth maybe can't. It's a way of getting out frustrations and feeling joy at the same time. It's another language that I speak, that I think we all speak, but that I've just leaned more towards nourishing and molding and sculpting. My name is Akoya Harris. My pronouns are she, her. I'm from the Central District of Seattle, Washington. I am a movement artist. I am a dance teacher. I am an oral historian. And lately, I have become a writer. Dance has become a way to show care. It's become a way to be vulnerable and move through what is scary and keep going. It's a way to be intimate with yourself and confront self. Dance for me is like it's become like a reflective mirror that shows you everything, like one of those zoomed in mirrors where you can't hide from what you're seeing. It's something that makes me confront self fully and wholly, all parts of it, insecurities and loves and all.
When I'm in it, there is a clarity, and it makes all the sense in the world to me. It's really beautiful. Danny Terrell actually brought this question up. It's like, why do you stick to dance? Dance feels like a cellular level thing that challenges everything that I think I know and recontextualizes it for me. And I don't know if anything else does that for me. It is the one medium that challenges me, that responds. My name is Marco Farroni Leonardo. I'm from Bonao, Monsignor Noel, the Dominican Republic. I'm a movement artist, a stylist, and I'm becoming an oral historian. As dance practitioners, we drill things in order to understand them differently. Even though we use very little words as movement artists because we're embodying, it does feel like a voice. The older I get, I continue to invest in my practice and be in community with other movers and dance artists. The more it feels authentic, like more part of my identity versus something that I do. I must dance.
I like what you just said about dance response, because I feel like dance, like the body can only move in a certain amount of ways. We can put different ways on top of each other, but as we move through like different cycles of our life, the dance response becomes something different in terms of meaning for us, and we are being told like, this is what dance is. In this state of where I'm at with dance, I think of dance in a different way and kind of expand images of what dance can be and what it can be for others, what it's going to be for myself.
This idea of repetition, like we've talked about repetition in our own practice, with practice of return, and it makes me think of fractals, and the repetition that kind of develops into a different thing, that through repetition development happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much change happening simultaneously, and we continue to return to this beginning, a starting point or continuing point or spiral, or however we want to really think of it.
There's a lot of Black woman theorists that talk about this idea of repetition and returning to the same thing again and again, but because of the change, you're returning to it as a different being, entity, thing each time, so that it becomes something else. And then that like fractal breaking off as now it's its own thing, but it is still connected to this original idea, thought, experience, whatever. And then that fractal also changes into its own thing to the point where because of the fractals and the change and the repetition, they are connected. But if you're just looking at them face on, you might not be able to see that unless you do that research, that investigation, that spiritual meditation, that you can find the connection. Also thinking of movement, a lot of folks are thinking of the same practice of repetition and fractals, but experiencing it with such different mediums that they just get to different destinations but through the same route. Dance is responsive and reflective to whatever is going on in the moment that it's happening, so it can't be repeated the same way twice. How repeating the same movement again and again, it has to become something else because of expansion, is interesting.
It also challenges the whole idea of like newness. Like there's no such thing as new, it's just kind of the result.
Yeah, I feel like rhythm is the through line. The drum as technology, or like the first computer being a drum because of how it communicated. And then like rhythm also becomes communication and technology through everything, because that is the like foundational communication, and like we can communicate in rhythm. I can understand the call of the rhythm responding as the moving body that is always in conversation with rhythm, regardless of where I am or what the rhythm is. It's still coming from the same place as explored and experienced in this movement styles. Like the rhythms are different, but they're in conversation with each other. They came from each other. It's still, you know, rhythm creating a call and response and spirit coming out.
Everything is informed by each other versus separate things. And I think that's such an Africanist aesthetic thing too, that it communicates to each other versus like singular ideas that have nothing to do with each other, when nothing in this world is like that. Everything is relational. That's such a it does something so beautiful too about the sort of practicing the repetition, that you can see and track those evolutions. Even this idea of like stardust, and we are remnants of those stars when the Big Bang exploded, and here we are thousands of years later, still carrying that.
It makes sense because it's like a computer technology programmed within us ancestrally, regardless of like how times and things shift or how things are maybe forced away. You can't get rid of your ancestors.
Ashe.
Cosmic strings, a subtle resonance hums. Fractals unfold, patterns within vast expanses. Microcosmic mirrors, celestial interplay. Chaos, the untamed essence, enigmatic allure. In the flutter of a butterfly's wings, futures manifest. Endless ripples from actions near and most far. A testament, our place in this cosmic instance. The quest of material return, the fabric of reconciliation. Consider the intricate tapestry, east and west, a plea for eternal resolution before the stardust echoes. Imbued with wonder, a path to foresee. Spirit and innovation steer. Within this cosmic web, where destinies interweave, to reconcile injustices, forging paths untrod. In universal interconnectedness, we find the essence of love.